Hello, my name's Paul Charlton, and I'd like to tell you about the Nordic Experience 2026, which is an amazing international opportunity being provided by Mid-Devon Support Team to the Faroe Islands and possibly also to Denmark. So the question that a lot of people ask is, where are the Faroes? And of course, also, where is Denmark? So let me show you. First of all, there we have the Faroes out there in the middle of the North Atlantic, between the north of Scotland and Iceland. Denmark is across the North Sea from us, to the east of us, adjacent to Sweden. So the Faroes are a self-governing region of Denmark. They're located, as I say, halfway between Scotland and Iceland. They're an archipelago. That means a group of islands. There's 18 mountainous islands in total. And the total land area, as you can see, is actually not that much bigger than the total area of Dartmoor, just to put it into context. Population of the Faroes is about 50,000. And again, to put that into context, it's not even as big as West Devon Borough, which is 57,000. The language in the Faroes is Faroese, although virtually all Faroese speak fluent Danish. It's a monarchy. The king is King Frederick X, and as you can see from the map, Denmark is actually linked physically to Germany, and it's adjacent to Sweden. The main part of Denmark is the Jutland Peninsula, and then it has numerous other islands, although the main two are Zealand, where the capital of Copenhagen is, and Funen. The population of Denmark is about 6 million. And again, to put that into context, it's a little bit greater than the total population of Scotland. The language in Denmark is not surprisingly Danish, but again, virtually all Danes speak fluent English. So, Nordic Experience 2026, when is it and how much will it cost? First of all, when? It'll be in the summer of next year, probably in late July. Well, that will depend partly on what you all decide you want to do. The cost will depend upon what's decided, and I'll give you those choices in a minute. Until we actually know exactly what we're doing, we can't actually give you details of a cost, but we will provide some sort of guide cost to you shortly. Very much aware that international trips do cost considerably more than UK trips. And that shouldn't be a reason for any person, any young person, not to be able to participate. For that reason, we do provide fundraising support. Doesn't mean to say we'll do the fundraising for you, but we'll help you and we'll give you lots of guidance and support to do so. And from previous experience, many people have found that fundraising is not only successful, but also actually great fun. And in a few cases, people have even raised more money than they actually require. Let me just tell you a little bit about scouting in the Faroes, because it's quite a significant reason as to why we're looking to go there. 2026 marks the centenary of scouting in the Faroes. So 100 years of scouting there. And we've been invited by our Faroese friends to join them, to help them celebrate, to share scouting with them, and to explore our worldwide family of scouts. So what's on offer? First of all, for explorers, this is those all aged 14 to 17. And of course, this will include people who are now older scouts, but will be explorer age next summer. The Nordic Adventure. Two options. Let me just explain the two options on offer. The first one I'm calling the Faroes Centenary Tour, where we'll spend 2 weeks in the Faroes, camping over there, staying at various places, probably around the Faroes, exploring, helping the Faroese to actually celebrate their centenary, take part in activities, and of course, make lots of new Faroese friends. The other option is Spydenlair 2026 and Faroes After Camp. Spydenlair is a Danish jamboree, which is second in size only to the World Scout Jamboree. The organisers are expecting, as you can see there, about 38,000 scouts from across the globe, although obviously a high proportion will be Danish. We'd hope that we can then team up with a friendship group, camp with them at the Jamboree, spend the week with them, exploring the worldwide family of scouting, and then go across to the Faroes where we can help celebrate their centenary again and spend time exploring the Faroes. For those of you who are a little bit older, for explorers and network, aged between 16 and 24, we're offering an Explorer Belt. This is one of the highest awards of scouting. It's a 10-day expedition which explores the culture and lifestyle of the Faroes. We will again be reaching out to our Faroese friends, and we are open to ideas on what this might look like. After all, it is your expedition. Really important note here, you will need to be aged 16 or over on the first day of the expedition, and no more. You must be under 25. For network and for leaders, there are opportunities to be part of the leadership, organising and support team, either here in the UK or in the Faroes and or Denmark. So what sort of training and preparation are we going to provide? We're going to provide workshops, training camps, fundraising support. For those doing the Explorer Belt, we will also be providing a mini Explorer Belt, and each Explorer Belt team will be allocated at least one mentor to actually work with you and to support you, guide you through the journey. This will all start in a month's time in October. So a little bit more information about what the Explorer Belt is for those of you who are not familiar with it. First of all, it is one of the very highest awards in scouting. It's a 10-day expedition that brings you a real understanding of a different country, its culture and way of life. And you develop this by traveling through the country. And I would stress this is exploration, not endurance. What I mean by that is if you're familiar with things like 10 tours, DFE, it's all about covering miles with that. And, it's about the physical challenge. An Explorer Belt is not like that. It's all about the exploration. It's not the physical endurance, which is what it's all about. You work as part of a small team, complete a series of projects, but most importantly, you're meeting and engaging with local people to get under the skin of the country. The actual expedition is organised and planned by your team. It is undoubtedly the challenge of a lifetime, and it's an experience and achievement you'll remember for the rest of your life. Just ask any other previous Explorer Belter and they will tell you. So the requirements in a bit more detail. The expedition, first of all, as I say, you need to undertake a 10-day expedition, part of a small team, and the ideal team size is around 4. But don't worry if you haven't got a team of 4 already. In many cases, it's far better that we all just meet up and teams are formed from across the district, because it's more important that you team up with people who have similar interests than necessarily an existing friendship group. So even if you're just wanting to come on your own, that's great. We'll be forming teams from across the district. The expedition has to be outside the UK. And the guidance is it's a minimum traveling time of 50 hours over 10 days. In other words, about 5 hours traveling per day. You can use different modes of traveling: foot, cycle, horse, canoe, boat, dinghies, whatever. Although most people probably do most of it on foot. You are also able to use public transport to enable you to get to places that you wouldn't otherwise be able to go to and to meet people that would otherwise be missed. And again, just to remind you, you must be aged between 16 and 25 at the start of the expedition. That's on the first day. In other words, you must be under 25. The major project, this is, if you like, is at the heart of the whole Explorer Belt. This is the whole purpose. It's your focus. You have to complete one major project, which will be selected by the team, and it will be approved before you go by the assessment team. That major project should take between about 10 and 15 hours to complete, and it should provide opportunities for meeting local people to gain a better understanding of the country, its people, culture, way of life. Minor projects, You need to do 10 minor projects. These can be chosen by the team, the leadership team, peers, or a mixture. Each minor project should take about an hour or so to complete. Therefore, perhaps doing one minor project per day. Many of these minor projects will need help or information from local people. They can also prompt you to do something you might otherwise miss, or to go somewhere you might otherwise miss. But they can be much more fun-based. Because you'll be traveling throughout the Faroes in a small team on your own, you need to be able to demonstrate all these competencies before we set off to the Faroes, and we'll be working with you to ensure that you are competent in all of these skills. You'll also be preparing your own budget. We'll help you with that, but you are going to prepare your own budget, and that budget will be agreed before the expedition. When you're actually on the expedition, you will need to record your spending throughout the trip, and you'll need to keep financial accounts. You also need to keep a logbook. That doesn't necessarily need to be paper-based, although a lot of young people do like to do a paper-based one because it's lovely to keep as a lasting. But other people have done videos, audio diaries, blogs, social media, whatever, as long as it works for you. Obviously, record all sorts of information on there, like places you visited, routes you've taken, project work, etc. You also need to complete a debrief, and that needs to take place with your mentor and all the supervisory team, and ideally within 24 hours of completing the actual expedition. So that's to the 10th day of the expedition. When you get home, you have to complete a presentation, and it is that presentation of the Explorer Belt, and that will be assessed by an assessment panel. You can also invite other guests and tell them about your amazing experiences and what you've achieved. Little word about the assessment. Because it is one of the top awards in scouting, it has to be assessed, and there is an assessment panel which we will need to put together. The role of that assessment panel is to determine whether or not you've successfully achieved your Explorer Belt. The actual award itself will be approved finally at headquarters level, that's at Gilwell, not approved locally, and that is reserved only for the very top awards in scouting, Explorer Belt and King Scout Award. Finally, do be prepared to make a real commitment. The Explorer Belt is not just about turning up at the airport and going out for an amazing trip and then coming home and unpacking your bag and reflecting on it. It is much more than that. It's your expedition. You will be owning it. You'll be preparing it. And as such, you need to make a real commitment. It does, however, look absolutely brilliant on your CV. This will set you apart from your peers because you have really achieved something by completing an Explorer Belt. It is probably one of the best experiences that scouting can offer. And again, just ask any Explorer Belter who has already completed one, and I'm sure they would agree that as well. Most of all, it's your Explorer Belt. You're going to make the most of it. So let's get going and don't miss this amazing opportunity. So what next? We'll be running a series of workshops. Here is the list of all the workshops we have planned now for the Explorer Belt. I won't go through all of them. I'll just pick out a few, though, just to tell you about. You'll see, first of all, that we're trying to move them around to make them fair on everybody. And we're also expecting some of our scouting friends from West Devon to join us. So at least one of the workshops will be in West Devon. The important one you need to know at the moment is that our first workshop will be on the 18th and 19th of October. It'll be a residential weekend in Holsworthy. And we'll be looking there in a bit more detail at what an Explorer Belt is, what it looks like, what the requirements are, how it works, everything else. You'll be starting to do some general country research, finding out about the Faroes. That in turn will help you to start thinking about what your major project might look like. We'll hopefully also start to think about the teams. But as I say, We don't need to actually agree beforehand or come along to that workshop with a team already in place. At the end of that weekend, you will be giving a presentation to parents so that they all have a good understanding of what your amazing adventure is going to look like. For Explorer Belts, because there's a lot of work to be done, and we need therefore some real commitment early on, because we need to start forming teams very early and to really crack on with it. The deadline for registrations and payment of a non-refundable deposit will be Friday, the 31st of October, but I'll be providing you more information about that later on. As you can see, there are various other workshops. The only other one I want to draw your attention to is in February, we will have a mini Explorer Belt. This is a 3-day, 2-night expedition. It will be in the UK, and it'll be run along exactly the same lines as an Explorer Belt. Your team will be organising it, and we will treat it exactly like an actual Explorer Belt. We'll have a debrief at the end, and in March, we'll then have a weekend camp, and at that weekend camp, you will be giving a presentation together with the rest of your team to everybody else. We will also be arranging first aid training for those that require it. For those of you who are not doing the Explorer Belt and are doing the Nordic Adventure instead, there will be fewer workshops and get-togethers, but the important one again will be the first one in October, which will be the same week. And in all case, it'll be to find out more about what's on offer. For you all to consider both of those options, whether you want to just do the Faroes Centenary Tour or whether you want to do the Spiden Lair 2026 and then a Faroes after camp. We're deciding there what you as a unit wish to do and starting to plan that adventure. And again, at the end of the weekend, you'll be giving a presentation to your parents. We will also you'll also rather be joining the weekend camp in March, which will be a fantastic opportunity for you all to get together over a weekend and make all your final preparations for what promises to be an incredible adventure. There are more videos available for you. We have our own YouTube channel, and please do have a look at those. There's some great videos on there which have been made by previous Explorer Belters. Gives you a feel for what an Explorer Belt's all about. And some on there are also Explorer Belts that were done in the Faroes and some actually in Denmark. So it'll give you a good feel for how both those countries might look. If you haven't already done so, please, you will need to register your interest in finding out more by scanning this code and completing an online register. You need to do that by the end of September. I repeat that, by the 30th of September. And without doing that, we won't have your details. We need that so that we can keep you informed, send you joining instructions. But I would stress at this stage, there's no commitment. It is purely a register of interest. I look forward to meeting up with many of you, I hope, in October. But in the meantime, do get yourself registered online and look forward to the adventure of a lifetime. Thank you very much indeed for listening, and all the best to you all.